Are we live? Are we live? I always got to wait. I got to wait and see. I'm a wait and see kind of guy.
Wait and see?
Let's see. Are we live? Talking Giants Day 8 training camp report live stream. How's everybody doing? Are we live?
I believe we are.
I'm still waiting, though. It's been a good 15 seconds. There we go. We're live. How about that? I got an F Your Coffee ad in front of me. How's everybody doing? All right. It's Day 8. New York Giants training camp. Very focused on the run game today. And we're going to start off with the Daniel Jones report. If you want to hate on Daniel Jones, you could say he only completed 33% of his passes today. And if you want to pump him up, you could say one of every 3 passes was a touchdown today. Because he only threw the ball 3 times today, 1 for 3.
We're all about narratives.
A touchdown, a throwaway on a goal line rollout, and then a deflected pass on probably a would-be sack. How's everybody doing? So we got the Daniel Jones stuff out of the way. Justin, Day 8 coming off a little bit of a hangover for us off of FanFest, getting back into the swing of things. And I want to start with this, an Andrew Thomas thing. I want to get the full context on this. Mm-hmm. So there was a play where, they were running the ball today. So there was guys on the ground a lot, and it was a run focus. It was, they only ran the ball. So that means you got guys banging a lot, and there's going to be guys on the ground. So there was a play where Thomas was on the ground, Leonard Williams was on top of him, and he comes up, and then Pat Leonard has a tweet saying that he's limping and something to watch out for. And so with Andrew Thomas's ankle history, that's always worrisome. And then I clipped the second play, not even looking for his ankle, and then went back and looked at it, put it on my Twitter. He does kind of favor the left ankle a little bit.
Yeah.
But he practiced the rest of practice, and he wasn't limping after that. Okay. So now that being said, it's the full-on practice, so adrenaline could be going. You guys have all had injuries, and you don't really feel the injury until 45 minutes later when you're done moving.
Yep. So we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah. So watch for Thomas if he misses practice tomorrow, or if he looks like he's limping a little bit in the morning. So while I will never defend Pat Leonard too much, I will say he wasn't totally lying with his tweet.
Yeah.
But, none of the other beat reporters reported on it. But he did have a little bit of limp for a couple plays. But that
also Andrew Thomas was limping, has been limping according to the beat reporters for the last 6 months.
Yes.
So.
It's just kind of like how he jogs sometimes, too.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a big man move?
No, but it's worthy to take note with Andrew Thomas because this is a guy that is coming off 2 ankle surgeries, the 2 last off seasons. Maybe he did take the recovery a little bit slow during the spring, and he has looked good during camp so far. And, it could be just one of those things where he gets rolled up on a play, it hurts for a couple plays, and then he's back. So hopefully he's out there tomorrow, and then we don't have to talk about Andrew Thomas having any limping concerns after this.
Yeah, so I figured we'd start off with that. And I guess we could talk about Thomas, too, before we get into the rest of practice. He looks good in the run game, man, and he left something to be there, something to be desired in the run game. This past year, after having being a good run blocker year 1, wasn't a bad run blocker last year, but he wasn't like this huge advantage. He's looked good, man. Whether it's going up against Kayvon, Leonard Williams, like Kayvon is not like being able to set the edge great versus Andrew Thomas. If he's blocking down on Leonard Williams, he's doing well. Who Leonard Williams has had a great camp overall. So. And this has been an Andrew Thomas camp, man. It's been pretty exciting to see. I think he's our player profile projection tomorrow morning, right?
Yes, he is, Monday morning.
Okay, so how about that? So again, they ran the ball a little bit, did a little bit of sprinting. So I know the beat reporters came out, so this is supposed to be a high intense practice.
I
listened to the press conference. Brian Dable didn't say that, but for us watching, it wasn't high intense. But for the players, when you're running the ball like that. That is high intensity.
All right. I don't know. I was expecting a little bit more. This is why we say media some clowns, because if I could imagine beat reporters tweeting out, high-intensity practice today. 98%, 99% of the people that are going to be seeing that on Twitter were not attending Giants practice today. So everybody, I'm sure all the beat reporters are, I got a like on a tweet because I said Brian Dable said it's going to be a high-intensity practice today. If you consider running this is the caveat that I said. If you consider running the ball a lot to be high intensity where the offensive lineman and defensive lineman are going at it, sure. But they weren't like overly sprinting and, Brian Dable didn't have them running like they were Joe Judge out there. So
yeah, but if you're a player, if you're running, in the front seven, if you're
not a wide receiver.
If you're Kenny Golladay, it's not high intensity. But for that front seven, They did inside drills, which is, solely running the ball without even the wide receivers and DBs on the field.
Yeah.
And then just went red zone, like Brian Dable said, red zone running the ball. And they ran it and ran it and ran it. And again, Daniel Jones threw the ball 3 times. So they probably ran the ball 30 times today.
And anytime it was a throw, it was a rollout.
Yeah, it was basically like, this is a run period, but we're going to sprinkle in a couple play action throws in here just to, keep the defense on its toes a little bit. So, when it's those run periods, it's a heavily favored for the defense because, like, all right, we can just key in. Let's get our linebackers downhill. Let's get our safeties downhill. So,
and today doesn't change my opinion on the Giants' rushing offense. I mean, I thought that because the defense absolutely just 100% knew the run was coming that they had some good plays, but still there were plays where, every single running back had positive gains where I'm looking at it saying that's a real-life good gain, that's a real-life good gain. So,
yeah, I want to talk about Antonio Williams and then obviously Saquon first. But I think, everyone wants to hear about the passing offense through camp. It's been up and down. So I don't think it's changed any of our opinions too much one way or the other.
Yeah.
But I think something that I have truly taken away from camp is that the fact that, like, the Giants are going to be way better running the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying, but, best rushing offense in the league, but the offensive line looks better running. Even in today, like when they're running inside drills and red zone, the defense knows it's running. Like you said, they're still able to get positive yards out of it. And specifically Saquon. Saquon is moving now north and south. Yep. Sometimes it's almost like you kind of miss a little bit of the, like, hey, Saquon break 3 tackles and make guys.
Well, that doesn't really happen in camp.
Not today, but just overall. And Saquon has been a north and south runner. Like, he has not been dancing around the line of scrimmage. So it seems like the coaching staff has kind of beat that into his head a little bit.
Yeah, everybody knows I'm a little hesitant on Saquon. Everybody knows that I'm a little out on Saquon. So I'm one of those people that I want to see it in a live game. I want to see it in live drills. I didn't get the chance to see him coming off the ACL injury last year. Well, he didn't really even practice last year in camp. You really only got the chance to see New England, because that's when he came back last year. But I want to see him in a preseason game. Dable said that the starters are going to play. Maybe we'll save that convo for a podcast convo that'll be happening on Tuesday. But Dable said those starters are going to play. Saquon Barkley is one of those starters that I want to see what he looks like against live action and if he can run north and south.
Yeah, and it'll be good to see, just the offense as a whole going against a different defense. But like you said, we'll talk about that on tomorrow's or Tuesday's podcast when that comes out. I will say the RB3, I didn't notice much from Matt Breida. He's probably not your best goal line back.
Yeah.
But something that we noticed about Antonio Williams in the limited action we watched him when the Giants signed him, he is, like, really good at finding the cutback lane.
Yeah.
Like,
about north and south.
Yeah, like if it's an outside zone and it's a mess in front of him, like he is, and when you're playing with the third and second string O-line, a lot of times it is a mess in front of you. Mm-hmm. Like, he is really good at finding that cutback, knowing when to get there and just getting
Runs
upfield.
tough.
So when he went down the other day and missed the next practice, that was actually that was more of a worry than most people had, because Antonio Williams is the RB3 at this point, and I think they need someone who can pop a little, get behind their shoulders and get north and south, like we did see in that one Bills-Miami game a couple years ago out of Antonio. And he's looked good with a lot of trash in front of him offensive line-wise.
Yeah, especially with those third stringers where Roy and Batika is one of your tackles. That's not a great world to live in, but we are in the summer. So Antonio Williams, another guy, excited to see him during a training camp game and to see what he can do.
Speaking of backup offensive linemen,
training camp game, preseason game. I'm sorry, idiot.
It is a training. This is all a game. You treat practice like you play, play like you practice.
Way to go.
Speaking of backup offensive linemen, something I was very encouraged by today, even though I wasn't super encouraged by his play, and I want to talk about that a little bit too. Josh Ezeudu only practiced at guard today.
Yes.
Which is something I've been banging on the table for, is when we had that swing tackle convo the other day, you saw how fired I got up about it. It's not even just because if Thomas and Neal go down, who's going to be the tackle. That's part of it, but part of it is Josh Ezeudu's development. Okay, he's on a team with Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal. He is not going to be a tackle in the NFL. He will be a guard. He will, unless one of those guys gets a season, career-ending injury. Josh Ezeudu is a guard, and I don't think he'd even be good at tackle in the NFL.
Yeah.
So they worked him only at guard today. So
and it's encouraging
good
to hear too that Dable. I don't know if Shane has talked or given any snippets, but
Dable said today that Shane is they're looking for offensive linemen, and Dan Duggan reported that Bobby Johnson and Tony Sperano with Shane went into the clubhouse directly after practice, so that you would
Which
assume
means
they're
that
working out some tackles.
Somebody is working out. So, especially when you have Marcus McKeithen goes down, which, hey, who would have thought that Marcus McKeithen going down would be
your 5th-round guard who became your backup tackle went down.
Who would have thought that would have been a major storyline this time of the year? But I'm glad that they're not waiting until I think that I would kind of still hope that there is moves that's going to be made after, when the rosters go from 85 to 53.
Yes.
I hope that there's still going to be even more movement happening because I have a feeling there's going
to be a lot of it, honestly.
I have a feeling there's going to be some better offensive tackles, offensive linemen available then instead of just right now when the rosters are still filled at 90. But still, I mean, even before the rosters get down from 85 to 53, they just need bodies. They need bodies so Josh Ezeudu can actually get valuable reps at guard because he's not going to be a tackle in the NFL.
Right. Yeah, so that was good. Now, I did watch Ezeudu a little bit.
He moves well.
He definitely athletic, moving well. But I did see some negatives that popped up, from his, scouting report coming out of UNC.
Hands.
One, he needs to fire off lower.
Okay.
He needs to fire off lower, and then with that, it's two sides of the same coin. He needs to bring his hands better. There was a lot of times in run drills where he's got guys in his chest. He's standing up tall, and guys are in his chest, and he's not able to get in any movement. He's sustained, actually, the blocks pretty decently for not having that. But that's something he needs to be better, is firing off low and bringing and popping those hands, shooting those hands.
And inside hands, too, not outside.
Yes, because today he was coming off the line of scrimmage high and hands wide. So those are the things that, we talked about with Ezeudu. He needs to work on. So I'm glad he's at guard where he can work on those things because he needs to work on those, and he's not going to be a starter to start the year. So I'm glad that he's back at guard, and there's, we have some guard tape of Josh Ezeudu for Bobby Johnson to hit them in film later today and say, hey, fire off low. Bring your hands. We don't want you chest to chest with the guys.
Yep. I agree. Can we talk about some other rotational pieces on backup offensive line in the interior?
Let's go for it.
Yeah, really saw Max Garcia start to get center reps for at least this is as I was paying attention, but he was getting third-team center reps.
Yeah.
And then Ben Bredesen, Jamil Douglas getting the second team. They are splitting the second-team center reps. Max Garcia is not making the team.
No.
He is not, which is kind of shocking if you were to tell us before camp and when we did our 53-man roster prediction episode. I think we talked about it, but it wasn't a reality that really entered our brains.
Yeah, I do think he's going to – this is really the first time we talked about him. There was one good block I saw of him today where he put someone on
it was I think it was he was having a day against Chris Hinton against the third team. I was trying to watch a little Chris Hinton as well. Not fantastic.
So it seems like Garcia's not making the team as of right
now.
And
it stinks because Jamil Douglas is not good. Like Jamil Douglas, I think, is bad. He has been bad at center. Maybe he's better on the second team. Maybe he's better with the third team. But anytime we've seen him take first-team center reps, especially when Feliciano was gone for 5 days, it was bad. It was not very good. So Ben Bredesen looks like, him and Ben Bredesen are going to be the two interior guys. And they were all splitting reps between center, guard. They were all alternating with the second team.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to start paying attention to how they're rolling those guys out because I've been tuning that out.
It would be either Bredesen at center, Jamil Douglas at right guard. Josh Ezeudu was the mainstay at left guard today with the second team. Left guard Ezeudu, center Jamil Douglas or Ben Bredesen, then vice versa with the right guard spot.
You know who I think is going to be a preseason star?
Tell me.
Keelan Doss. One, he wears the number 5. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
Keelan Doss I'm going to look up his stats because I think he's played a little bit in the NFL.
Yeah, he's not a UDFA. He's been around the mill for a hot sec.
He looks good in camp. He's at 6'3". He's got a career 11 catches with the Raiders in 2019. So not much to go off of, but he looks good. He's getting open on slants, and I think you saw him a little bit in the fan fest for people that were there for that.
Yeah, out of the 10 passes that they attempted today, didn't he have it? They called it incomplete, but it was a cool catch in the back corner of the end zone.
Yeah, and he had a slant touchdown too with Tyrod Taylor.
Cool. All right, so he technically kind of had 2 touchdowns today.
He is going to be the guy because wide receivers tend to shine a little. Backup wide receivers are usually the ones that shine a little bit more.
Yeah.
In the preseason. Paired with the fact that we don't have the 4th QB this year, that's just total garbage. Tyrod Taylor's probably going to light it up in preseason, and Davis Webb, he's, for a third-string QB, he can throw the ball around a little bit.
Sure.
So I think Keelan Doss is going to be a preseason star. Won't make the team, but will be a preseason star.
Yep.
Let's see.
We consider Colin Johnson a preseason star too.
We'll see. We didn't get to see him in preseason last year. Obviously, we claimed him off waivers.
Darius Slayton be a preseason star because he's like buried. Oh, you want to talk about
Do you want to talk about Slayton?
Well, Slayton, and then it may lead you to Quincy Roche too, because I'm more upset about Quincy Roche than I am about Darius Slayton. Like Slayton is something that I at least kind of understand.
All I'm saying is they should get some compensation for Slayton. Again, I looked up wide receiver trades of guys who aren't stars, and there's compensation to be there, and those guys weren't even nearly as established. Have never put up the production that Darius Slayton does have. Even like last year's down year for Darius Slayton, those were some of those guys' top years. When you think of guys like Brian Edwards. Isaiah Rodgers, I think, was one. So
and N'Keal Harry just happened.
Yeah, N'Keal Harry was a recent one after I looked at those trades. So if they truly want to move off Darius Slayton, what it looks like, and he has that $2.5 million cap hit because
just
he
get
has
a day 3
the
pick.
fourth-year roster bonus, get a pick back, get something back, even if it's a pick swap. Because he's going to be claimed. He's going to be one of the top waiver claims if he's cut.
Remember how we celebrated getting Quincy Roche last year? I think there's going to be a team that's going to be out there that's going to be like, "Ooh, we got this guy that once had an 8-touchdown catch season."
If this guy was cut by the Bears and the Giants claimed him, we would be excited about it.
Yeah, we would. Even with all of his flaws.
So I do want to get into that. Also, I noticed that a QB drill they were running. They had like a tall bucket, and they were practicing end zone phase. That was the first time I saw that drill.
They're running a little. I get it's just practice, and maybe you just want to work on QB accuracy stuff, but they're running too many of these fade type of plays. Even if they're corner routes in the back corner of the end zone, they're running a little too many of those kinds of plays for my liking.
You know what I do like though, because I don't like the fade, is the Kenny Golladay end zone back shoulders.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where it's it's almost set up like a fade, and then Golladay turns his hips and it's back there. They ran one during the Fan Fest. I do like those. Those are good ways to use Kenny Golladay in the red zone. So we'll get to some other stuff. Why don't you tell us about Bareburger, where we had Elk Burger the other day?
Oh, Elk Burger, so great. We were all, I'll tell you what, kind of cowardice of us. Didn't try an ostrich burger yet. Didn't feel like getting that crazy. But the Elk Burger was phenomenal. I've had bison burgers in the past. I think, did all three of us get Elk Burgers? Julian, you and me? Did we all get Elk Burgers?
We got different types, though.
Different types.
I got like the normal burger with elk.
Julian got something with ranch.
And you got like the barbecue one.
Yeah, I got a barbecue one. I really like the barbecue with the bacon on it. I'm also a big fan of ranch, and that's what Julian had too. So that's what's cool about Bareburger too. It's like, yeah, they have the ostrich burgers, bison burgers, elk burgers, regular burgers. The vegan burgers too, vegetarian burgers too. You can get it all with different variations because they have something for everyone. Yes, even you. They're a burger joint. They're not the type to be bogged down by the labels. Their menu is filled with options for everyone regardless of dietary preferences. At Bareburger, there's only one dietary restriction you'll be limited to: food that's made to taste great. Bareburger Kitchen Bar. They have a happy hour. It's the best in New York City, 12 p.m. to 7 p.m., Monday to Friday. Ton of hours to be happy. They have a lunch special as well, 12 p.m. to 4 p.m., Monday to Friday, $14.95, all served with fries. Click the link in our description to find yourself at your favorite new happy hour spot, burger joint and luncheon, Bareburger Kitchen and Bar. We also watched the start of the Hall of Fame game at Bareburger, too. They have a full-scale bar that you can get whatever you want. You had a nice little Coronanita. And we watched the game for a hot sec. The Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, me and Julian watched the entire. I won't shout out one of our other sponsors in the middle of an ad read.
No, don't do that.
But I won some money watching the Raider game.
Huge.
How about that?
Huge.
Oh, look, Julian's in the chat. He said they got the ranchero. It did not have ranch, but it was 10 out of 10.
Miss you, Julian.
Sometimes I thought it'd be a funny tweet, but I'm also like, this could disgust people. I was going to be like, just dropped off Julian at the airport. Cons, we miss our producer, his great editing skills, his photos, his videos. He's a good hang. And then pros, there's going to be a picture of me from the bathroom. It's like, I can poop with the door open again.
Sure. It's huge. It's huge. It's a huge pro.
Go follow Julian. He's been great.
Yeah, Julian M. Bright. lights up the sky.
So because it was a defensive day,
Yeah.
Darrian Beavers is the third inside linebacker now. Like he is well established over Micah McFadden on the depth chart.
Yeah.
And I can even see him maybe creeping up into the starting lineup at some point earlier in the season over Tay Crowder.
We're going to see him eventually get an edge rusher rep, too.
He looks good in the run game. Man.
Yeah.
Like he's big. He brings the pop. I mean, it's kind of what a scouting report is. And, in other days we've noticed, like there was a play where, if anyone if you think Tampa 2, it's you got your two high safeties, but you have your inside linebacker playing deep down the field if they run seams. And they tested him. And he was 30, 35 yards down the field, right in the hip of whatever receiver that it was. I think he might have been Bachman or somebody who's not the fastest guy in the world. Like, oh, okay. For a guy who doesn't have the greatest athleticism in the world, like he's looked good. Darrian Beavers is getting some good run, and man, he really does bring the pop to that run defense.
And yeah, you said that he's big. I knew that he was going to be big. I didn't think that was going to be the issue. What I thought was going to be the issue is he going to be too big, and is he going to be slow? Because that was the scouting report that came into Cincinnati, and he kind of looked a little slow at Cincinnati too. I don't know if it's because he's wearing the hoodie or he's just the stuff.
When
the
he played
band,
there was just times where I saw him out on the corner and running back just beat him to the corner. Whether it was Kyron Williams from Notre Dame or whatever running back from Alabama that was getting the carry at the time.
But he looks thin.
When they would run duo and bounce. Like, they would be at the corner, and they would just beat him to the corner, and he'd be left diving for ankles.
But he looks thin, and that one, I haven't seen him flow sideline to sideline yet and have that, really live-action moment that you see some interior linebackers have. But that one play that you just did describe, he kept up with a speedy running back. So that was really impressive. And like I said, I expected him to be bigger. And, maybe he did thin out a little bit. Maybe he did get a little quicker, faster. So that's all cool. That's fun. It's good.
Someone in the chat said L plus ratio. I'm going to say K plus ill plus yourself.
Harsh. Harsh.
I'm starting to get pissed off that Quincy Roche is not ahead of Ellerson Smith and O'Shane Ximines on the depth chart.
Yeah, I have a tweet in the drafts, but I'll just say it here. O'Shane Ximines getting first-team reps or getting high-leverage reps is not a fun joke anymore. It was a joke to start camp. It's not a fun joke anymore.
Both those guys suck.
Ellerson Smith and O'Shane Ximines.
Like, everyone shared that Evan Neal clip from FanFest, and my mind immediately went to, like, this is Ellerson Smith.
Yeah.
This is who Ellerson Smith is, and this is why I didn't like him as a prospect, and it's why I like Quincy Roche more as a prospect, even though he was drafted 2 rounds later to another team.
And it's one of those things where it's
horrible versus the run, and he is skinny too. Like sure, he's maybe out a little muscle.
He's tall, but
he is skinny.
Still skinny.
He gets bullied in the run game, and it was against lower level competition at University of Northern Iowa, UNI. So I'm not thrilled about that. And again, Quincy Roche has looked good, in practice, and we saw Quincy Roche be a flat up better player than O'Shane Ximines last year as a rookie compared to a year 3 guy in O'Shane, who is also very bad versus the run.
It's getting in year 4. Quincy Roche.
Yes.
O'Shane Ximines. It's also one of those things, too, where, okay, you can make the argument that Ellerson Smith and, sure, O'Shane Ximines has a higher pass rushing upside than Quincy Roche. You can argue that.
Of upside.
But it's not worth it when you're considering to be such a liability in one area of the game, and an area of the game that it kind of is super important. So I don't think that's worth it.
They're such high upside guys. Over Quincy
it's not
Roche.
like the gap. The gap isn't that wide. Where Ellerson Smith is going to be putting up a 10-sack season, and you can live with him being a liability.
I don't want Ellerson Smith off the roster. O'Shane, I do. Ellerson Smith, I don't want off the roster.
No,
I want him to give time to grow, but he shouldn't be ahead of the depth chart of Quincy Roche.
Yeah. All right. So can you answer some questions, and I'm going to go for a few minutes.
Yeah, he's going to do baseball.
Oh no, you can't say what it is. If you want to end the stream,
I can say what it is.
No, you can't.
I just can't tell you what's happening. The result. Just notice the shirt that Justin's wearing. You've seen him wear that shirt before on other John Boy Media videos. So I'm going to answer some questions, but I want to go through the rest of my notes first. Let's see, what do I got? Oh, they changed jerseys. So I've never seen a team do that where the offense went to white jerseys, the defense went to blue, like mid-camp. I've never seen that before. That doesn't matter, but I just thought that was interesting. Timon Fox had a nice play where he just wrecked it, Cat. I actually like him out of UNC. I think he should hang around on the practice squad. Nate Meadors. Guys, Nate Meadors was just claimed off of waivers by the Cleveland Browns. Had an interception off Davis Webb in the red zone. So get your questions. I'm going to answer your questions for 5 minutes after I just go through all my notes. Ryder Anderson, who, if you want your Ryder Anderson breakdown, go re-listen to the Andrew Thomas interview because we gave you your Ryder Anderson breakdown. He's moved inside a little bit. He looks kind of big, and he makes a player here or two against the third team, so that was interesting. So, those are all my notes. So hit me with some freaking questions, baby, boys and girls. I'm not the best. I can't do solo radio, so you guys have to be my co-host for the next 5 minutes. Oh, what's going on, Miz? You're moving to Florida. My God, it's a good place to move. Let's see. How was Neal in the run game this morning? I didn't focus on him a ton. Justin did a little more. There were some couple reps where he was leaning and the balance issues showed up, but I didn't have much things. Do you think Gates can take Feliciano Shane's spot when he comes back? Yes, but the win matters. I don't think that win is week 1, and I don't even necessarily think that win is this season. But I am excited to hit on him. Authentic says Andrew Thomas ankle injury, anything to worry about. We hit it at the first 2 minutes, just the full context, but I wouldn't be worried about it unless he looks like he's limping tomorrow morning or isn't practicing tomorrow because he played every single rep and he wasn't limping after 30 seconds after he came up. Allison said, "Hey Bobby, I asked a few questions higher up in the chat. You got to re-ask them because I can't scroll through with our new. What are you doing?"
I did something very, very important, and it was a top 5 highlight of my life.
I didn't think you were coming back.
No.
Julian Bright says McKeithen did not have a cramp. That was funny when they tried to play it off as a cramp on
Who
Saturday.
did that?
I think Dable maybe.
Got tore his ACL. They got the cart driven out for him right away, and they tried to play it off as an ACL.
Or a cramp, yeah.
Or I'm bad with words.
Good question by SHU Carter, and we can finish off this. And I wanted to talk about this, but I forgot to put it down in my notes.
Wait, I have one more thing to talk about too after this.
Do you think Daniel Bellinger will have a good impact this season? As a blocker, I focused on him a lot today blocking, especially, they rotate the tight ends a little bit, even though he's the clear one. By the way, Jordan Akins would have had a walk-in touchdown.
Oh, dropped it. Oh, man.
You're done, Jordan Akins. You're done. Daniel Bellinger's looked pretty good blocking, and that is one of my main things I'm looking for on Thursday in the preseason. Mm-hmm. Is how well does Daniel Bellinger do blocking? I really don't. To me, what he does receiving wise, I'm not worried about because I'm never expecting him to be some great receiver. But I'm really interested to see him blocking on Thursday, and he's looked good so far blocking. And I was worried that he might have some struggles adjusting to the NFL coming from San Diego State.
Absolutely.
Nick DeWick says, buying a throwback jersey, who should I get? Kayvon, man, he's really killing the throwback jerseys. There's a lot of Kayvons.
And Kayvon's also killing it in camp. I'll just take everybody's word on it. If there's people on the beat reporting positive things about somebody, then I'll just take their word for it. I haven't been looking out for Kayvon because I figured everybody else was looking at Kayvon. I've been looking at Neal. I kind of don't want to give an Evan Neal report today, which that should tell you how Evan Neal did today.
Yeah, I talked about it a little bit. I'm waiting for the preseason for Evan Neal.
Yeah, man, I kind of just want to see it.
I want to just be able to watch him all in a row and just evaluate an entire
So we can all watch the same fucking thing, so we're not just speculating.
Yeah.
It's like, here, if it's great, then it's fantastic, and then I'll forget all the the shit that we've seen so far. Shit's a strong word, but yeah. I have we're going to talk about this with Dan Duggan, hopefully. I don't want to always just say that interviews happen before they're recorded because we've been bit by that before. But hopefully we're going to talk with Dan Duggan tomorrow. And we're going to talk about, the tight end 3 spot and the tight end depth chart overall. But Andre Miller and Jeremiah Hall were splitting.
Oh, yes, forgot about that.
We're splitting first team reps at H-back / fullback today. / also, those guys can line up as tight ends as well, put their hand in the dirt. Andre Miller got the first half of practice. He got those reps, and then it was Jeremiah Hall that got the second half of the first team reps at H-back, fullback, tight end. But I think Andre Miller looks better. I think Andre Miller is more willing to block. I didn't see Andre Miller block a ton, but there was one play where I saw he looked good, and he opened up a hole for Saquon Barkley on the left side, which was really nice. So Jeremiah Hall looks uncomfortable as a blocker, though. Like, it just flat out, he does look uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's when we talked about him on our UDFA episodes. A lot of times he stops his feet, and he's not doesn't bring the most – for a guy who's more of a fullback than a tight end, he doesn't bring the pop that you would always want in the run game.
So Andre Miller is going to make the team, but we'll also ask some other people, too, what they think.
All right. Joey Mooney, we'll finish off with this. Don't give us any more super chats. Quincy Roche will prove why he is better than Ellison Smith and Jahad Ward in the preseason games. We saw him produce last year. Y'all excited for the preseason? I am very excited for the preseason. We'll be actually live streaming it. It'll be the first time we ever live streamed a Giants game, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, so similar, same spot area and same setup as our draft stream. We will be live streaming the Giants preseason game Thursday night, so I'm really excited about that.
Word up. Is Deshaun Corbin in the mix for RB3? No. In fact,
no, not really.
Brightwell's actually clearly ahead of him, and Antonio Williams is clearly ahead of Gary Brightwell. All right, we appreciate you guys. We'll be back tomorrow with the player profile and projection. Andrew Thomas and Ezeudu Ojulari, some Georgia Dogs. I can't wait to ask Duggan, where the hell is Ezeudu Ojulari at this point? And we'll be recapping practice as well. We appreciate you guys. See you on the next one. Enjoy your Sunday. Until tomorrow, let's go Big Blue.